Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I'm a voice teacher. Today I'm joined with my good friend Dr. Marc Reynolds, also a voice teacher, and we will be reacting to and analyzing Taylor Swift performing Love in the Live Lounge. What do you think about this, Marc?
I don't know. We're about to find out. I haven't watched it. We'll see.
Cool, let's do it.
We could leave the Christmas lights up till January. This is our place, we make the rules. And there's a dazzling haze, a mysterious way about you, dear. Have I known you 20 seconds or 20 years?
So nothing more energetic than a regular spoken volume yet. Nothing higher than regular spoken pitch. I mean, the highest note that she's going to so far is a D, and there's nothing wrong with singing low, just pointing out where she's at so far. Anything standing out to you?
Yeah, to me, it's just she's just keeping it simple. Like, she's not putting any extra energy than needed. I mean, this is almost like the same amount of energy if like someone was right almost in her face. So if you were like just to focus on, like, say someone was like, I want to sound like her in this moment, what would you say?
Yeah, so if you were wanting to sound kind of like Taylor at the beginning of this, we would just put a little bit of extra breathiness in the sound. It's kind of like we're just almost on the edge of a whisper talking to someone who's really close, and then the microphone is doing all of the work. I don't love using that breathy sound. I don't think it's the most balanced sound. I don't think it prepares very well. However, it at least is making her not grab, so if this song goes really high and belty, maybe this is kind of a counter to that. It doesn't sound like she's working very hard, which is one of the paramount things I look for in my singers. Even though this may be easy writing so far, that doesn't take away from how well she's doing it, how easily she's doing it.
Right.
Can I go where you go?
Slight head voice.
Can we always be this close forever and ever? Take me out, take me.
On that take me, I do see a little bit of extra musculature in her neck, just on the take me part, and then it kind of drops away when she continues with it. It is not super balanced. I just don't hear it as like this is an easy sound to make at the top of her voice or a sound that's going to be versatile in any way. It's light, it's a decent preparatory sound, but to me, I wouldn't be happy with that approach at the very top just because it just seems a little too tight and like you won't be able to branch that out into other sounds.
Yeah, awesome. So if you were to see that then, say she's your student in this moment, and again, for our viewers, we're not doing this to critique her or judge her. She doesn't care what we think, probably.
Right. I mean, she's the number one artist in the world. She should not care at all about us.
Yeah. So, but this is hopefully for your benefit when you're watching. What is a voice teacher hearing? Because a lot of times when we're in a voice lesson, it's like, I must just suck. No, we can watch this person who has had an amazing career, will continue to have an amazing career, and still find things that we would think could make it easier. So if you're to see this voice and see this kind of grab that you're seeing, what would you have that singer to do to make it even easier?
So I would start with even higher release exercises, just probably top down. So far she's going up to the D5, which is, you know, for all women, it's going to be a headier sound. You're not going to be able to pull chest all the way up there, and I don't expect that, and I don't even want it to be like this really belty sound. But if we are able to take that up to like maybe an A and start getting a really easy sound up here, then by the time you get back down to the D, you'll hopefully have a little bit more of that release. So starting with just like woos, like woo, 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 seeing if you can get that kind of sound really, really easy, and then try carrying that down to the note that is actually having the problem, just to kind of give a different situation for the body to work in so that you can explore something else and you're not bound to needing those extrinsic muscles to be used.
I agree with you. I think really exploring even above that and getting that release down would be helpful. But I also, if I'm seeing this tension grab kind of where it is, I'm probably going to look at the tongue too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure, especially on an E vowel, that E is going to make that tongue, if this is up my lower jaw on this tongue, it's going to make that tongue want to pull up and back and jerk it back. And that can create this closure, this tension, this stress, both in what we hear and what they feel in the voice. So what you could do with that is just kind of stick your tongue out of your mouth while you're singing a little bit, right? And see if you can do it without that.
Yeah. Another thing that it could be is maybe she's not getting a deep enough breath before it. And if she just makes sure that she has a nice, really deep breath right before, and she's not like squeezing or anything, then she's not going to have to compensate for having a weird flow of air with those bigger muscles. And the thing that this kind of brings up more than anything for me is we don't know what's going on inside. Like, we're using our ears to kind of deduce a bunch of different situations. And most voice teachers do the same thing. Like, the best thing that a voice teacher can have is a good ear, because you can kind of hear, well, it could be this or this or this, and then you just need to start by going through all of those. Just because you don't know the exact answer doesn't mean that, like, one of those three might not help it. Gosh, I really mixed up all of those knots and all of those. I hope you understood what I just said, but it...
No, I think it made total sense. And I think the key there is, as a viewer, whether you're taking private voice lessons, where you're trying to learn from these videos, is to explore with a variety of different things to see which ones are actually going to help you make a difference. Throw away the idea is, am I doing it right? And just, does it help? Does it make it easier? And if it does, sweet, use it.
She sounds a little easier there, though.
She does. She keeps closing her eyes, though. I'd love to see what she's actually doing. Like, what does she mean? It'll work if she opens up, later on. It can kind of get this crescendo effect, but I'm interested to see where she takes it.
Yeah. Technically, I think that part worked a little bit better because it was trying to be more clear. She was still not super loud. I bet she could have gotten much louder on that note, but she had enough energy and enough chord closure that we were able to get, like, a little bit more of a solid buzz. And then you didn't see as much of the next stuff come in because it wasn't resisting the air instead of the vocal folds. So it's interesting. Like, we just change over one coordination a little bit and then you stop compensating.
We could let our friends crash in the living room. This is our place. We make the call.
Nice reverb on her voice.
And I'm highly suspicious that everyone who sees you wants you. I've loved you 3 summers now, honey, but I want them all.
Swinging to a little more compression.
Go where you go.
Like, even right there, you didn't hear as much weirdness on the sound. And it was still light. It had a little bit of extra breath, but it didn't tighten up the way that I heard that first time.
Yeah, she's kind of swinging back between that kind of the aspirate onset vocal production to the more compressed side. But then as she goes up, she's got to narrow that out and find that balanced place. First time, it was hard to find that balanced place for her. It seems like she's kind of warming up into it a little bit and finding a cleaner center there.
On this one, I can't remember what the word was on the first one, but with this one, she started with a go, and I think that G also just resisted the air, so she wasn't blasting as much, which is why it didn't sound as breathy. Like, consonants have tendencies that they just make, like an F, if you start with a foo, if she went with fo instead of go, it would probably end up becoming a breathier sound. So the G kind of put everything into a decent place also. So even if she was approaching it the exact same way, it could be the G. So if you're doing this on your own, experiment back and forth between different consonants to see if maybe one of them helps you figure out what it feels like a little bit better. So with her, I would just, like, the G seemed to work really, really well. So let's do some exercises with go, 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 and then try to get closer to the actual word that she needs on the other parts of it, because she's proving that she can get these coordinations. It's just not where I want them.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up another really excellent point for the people watching, and that is we use vocal exercises in lessons a lot of times, right? The 1 3 5 3 1, the do mi so mi do, or one, whatever it happens to be. But what Sam's suggesting here is using actual moments from your song as exercises, right? Either moments that work really well, or taking difficult parts and really trying to use tools and techniques as a exercise in themselves. I think for a lot of people, that's a much more enticing way to exercise and do exercises. If you're struggling with getting this cleaner, crisper sound, and your sound is really kind of breathy and it's just doesn't have that core you're wanting to, this G starting exercise is a really great way to help you find that cleaner, crisper chord closure that we're talking about.
Absolutely. So if by some weird miracle Taylor is watching this, just do more goes. You sound fine. Just do more goes.
Can we always be this?
She is releasing well as it's going up, shedding the weight.
Take me out, take me home. You're my lover. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand with every guitar string scar on my hand?
It's so stylistic. Like, all
Yeah.
of the stuff she's doing, it works for the style that she wants. And you can't get the style without having a little bit of that unbalanced sound. Like, if it was perfectly balanced through all of this, it would sound ultra clear, and it would probably sound closer to like a musical theater or opera singer going through it, right? She's using this purposeful breathiness that just sounds like she's walking this edge of it's about to crack, or like there's no... It almost sounds under energized or something compared to like traditional singing. So it's very close to speech singing, which I like, but for some reason it just still doesn't sit with me as well as I want it to.
Yeah. And does that mean good or bad from our friends listening? No, it's that's his reaction. Something what you're saying makes me think of, there's a excellent voice teacher who I got to know. She's worked with a lot of really famous folks. And I remember having a conversation because we were both working at a university at the time between classical voice teachers and commercial voice teachers, right? And she was talking about how it's so difficult because to her, it seemed like the classical voice teachers were always trying to make everyone sound the same.
Yeah.
But if you're talking with commercial voice, if everyone sounds the same and it sounds that uniform, then there's nothing to market. It makes it that actually hurts their business. So it really is always a balance of how do we get the easiest sound with as much of a unique style and sound to you as we can get. But that is always the battle that any voice teacher working with a pop singer is trying to find and battle, is
Exactly.
this balance.
Exactly. And so for what she's doing, it's working. I think that my main issue is you can't do more with it. These are all of the colors that really work from that approach. And you can't get very loud. You can't get like a lot of aggressive sounds. This is what you have. And with this, like what she has is working phenomenally well. My only thing is if she came in and had a lesson with me, which I have no idea why she would ever do that, but I would be hearing, I don't think that this is as sustainable as it could be in the long run. Or for issues of cross-training, I'm not hearing those kind of things. That said, like it doesn't sound like she's working very hard for the sounds that she's making right now, which is a huge step from, I think, where she was 10 years ago. She's progressed so much vocally.
With you, swear to be over dramatic and true.
I like that sound. I like that one.
And you'll save all your dirtiest jokes for me. And at every table, I'll save you a seat. Lover, can I go where you go? Can we always be this close forever?
I think the real hard job here is being the background singer.
Yeah, it's mixed in a way like they're there, but it is so low in the mix. I kind of want to hear more background singing.
Take me out, take me home. You're
So consistent with her mouth shape and jaw.
Yeah, she was. And even when it started with that O, where she went higher and it had that little glottal stop, it seemed like she was using that same exact coordination for the rest of those phrases. So she set it up with what is almost an exercise. Like, that's literally what we were talking about earlier. If using that O sound is really, really helpful at getting some good chord closure, which for most people it is, she'd use that, and then on the next one, when she started with a more of a glide of a consonant, she had the same sort of compression that she got from the one before.
What's interesting too is she's not really working hard, but if I was to turn off the sound, I would have expected a much louder sound, like she was working hard.
Do you think that she's kind of putting on some of that, like, look, I'm working because maybe this is so easy for her?
I think so, and to give us this feeling of building in the song and like it's going somewhere. Because the reality is, does she need that much opening in the front of her mouth to make this sound? No. I mean, it's a much bigger aperture than the vowel is dictating and anything else. But it is kind of just her home base too, so it's just a nice, consistent place that she can get to on anything.
And because she's not worried about volume at all, and it seems like she never is worried about volume, it's all just about, is the tone right? And sometimes she wants to get that like wider sounding tone, but because she's not pushing underneath it, she can get away with it. Where if you started adding a little bit more energy or more chord closure, or it's easy for that to start leading toward pull. So one thing that she is doing really, really well is she has a wide variety of vowels that she's able to use, and she's figured out how to get them balanced without it kind of taking over the show. Where with some people, if you start going as wide as she just did, the tendency is going to be you're going to engage a lot more and things are going to get weird. But with her, like, she's able to kind of independently control those parts. So I think that's really good. Thank you all for watching what is likely to be my most downvoted video of all time. If anyone wants to get in contact with Marc, how can they find you?
You can find me at mrperformingartsstudio.com, or you can plug me in here on YouTube, Dr. Marc Reynolds, and I should pop up
Click
there
on this
too.
video, it'll take you right to Marc, and thank you again for being a guest on my show.
Thanks, Sam.
Follow me on Instagram. Bye.
Bye.